Hello, a very warm welcome to the University of Surrey and to your university accommodation, whether you've moved in already or whether you'll be moving in soon. You are very welcome. My name's Peter Munsey. I'm one of the residential wardens living on campus at the University of Surrey. So from the wardening team, a warm welcome to you. This is a guide to good communal living. I'm going to be talking about our expectations of residents and what you can expect as part of your experience of living in university accommodation. The first slide I want to show you is some really important contact information for some of the services that you might need to use while you're staying at the university. Our security team are a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service, and they are the first port of call in an emergency, and they can be contacted by the number listed on your screen. Do feel free to pause that and take that down. There's a non-emergency contact number there as well. We also have a report and support service for students. If there's anything that you feel very uncomfortable about, that you're concerned about, you can report that, whether that's an academic issue, whether that's an issue in your residences. Report and support .surrey.ac.uk. You can contact our accommodation colleagues at accommodation@surrey.ac.uk. You can log maintenance reports. If you have something broken in your room, you can do that online as well. surrey.ac.uk/report-a-fault. And the same if your internet is not working, you can contact the ResNet team, surrey.ac.uk/ResNet. So there's hopefully some useful information there. Now, I'm not the warden for the whole of the university. There are different wardens across the different courts. I happen to live in Cathedral Court, but it may be that you're in Manor Park. If you want to find out who your warden is over at Manor Park, surrey.ac.uk/wardens has got all the contact information for the wardens and who we all are. So what are we doing? What do the warden team do? The wardens are full-time members of staff. Some of us work in professional services and some of us are academic staff, and we live in the residences with our families, sometimes with our pets, the whole year. So this is our home. And we have full-time jobs within the university. So we warden outside of office hours in the evenings and the weekends. And we're essentially a member of staff that is here to support you. If you had a well-being or a welfare issue, we're also here to maintain reasonable behaviour in the residences. So there's an element of wardening which carries some disciplinary responsibilities as well. Hopefully we won't have to, hopefully you won't come across this in a disciplinary way. And the presentation I'm going to show you today will kind of give you some really good tips and hints, really how to avoid, getting into trouble while you're living in university accommodation. So, I think if I was to say the key message from us as wardens to you as residents is speak to each other. Yeah, speak to your flatmates and expect that they will speak to you. It's really important that you have a good dialogue with the people you live with. You talk to each other, you know who everyone is. You might want to set up a WhatsApp group so you can air any concerns or issues or get to know each other a bit better in these coming weeks. If you are affected by the behavior of someone you live with, so if someone's making a lot of noise at night or someone isn't tidying up properly, the first thing you should do is speak to them. They might not realize that the phone calls that they were making at night were stopping you from sleeping. They might not realize that the mess that they left in the kitchen was causing upset to other people. So it's really important that before you start calling security or the wardens about an issue, talk to your flatmate first. Okay, that's the first thing we'd ask you is have you spoken to them? And probably 99% of issues you can resolve by having good communication with each other. So that's why it's important that you know who lives in your flat. We really don't want to come round in November and speak to you and ask you who's living next door, what's their name, and you don't know. That's not a good sign. Okay, so it's good to talk, and it's good to talk to the people that you live with. Now, on that issue of noise, quiet hours are enforced between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. Okay, so after 11 p.m., we would expect you not to be making noise that can be heard outside of your bedroom. Okay, so you need to minimize noise after that point. Okay, now talking on the phone late at night, talking and laughing loudly, that can be quite disturbing to the person next door or the person above or below you. So do show consideration. That's a really another important message is about consideration. Don't be playing music through loudspeakers or subwoofers. Be sensitive about that. If you're playing a musical instrument, do that through headphones. Talk to the people around you so that they know that you might be practicing your instrument and when might be a good time for you to do that. Having those conversations can actually solve a whole load of problems later on down the line. Kitchens, we often get students contacting us because they're worried about the state of the kitchen. It's really important that we're clean and hygienic. We do expect residents to clean up after themselves. It's a good time to get into those habits of, cleaning down, making sure that the mess that you've made has been cleared up. So we would expect your kitchen to be clean and tidy. If it's not, the cleaning service can be withdrawn. You might be charged for additional cleaning if your kitchen gets into a bad state. The cleaning staff will feed that back to the warden team as well. So work together as a flat, make sure that your kitchen is a pleasant place to be. It will often be your communal area as well. So you don't want it to be a pigsty. These are just some very practical things, and they can cause a real problem for us and for our maintenance team. Sometimes students try and put food down the sink when they're finished eating. Maybe it's a bit of oil here and there, or maybe it's not scraping off a plate, but actually these things can cause blockages. They can lead to flooding. Please don't put food down the sink. Please put it in the bin. Now, talking about bins and bin bags, we do have an issue sometimes where students can't be bothered to lift up the lid of the big bins on campus. You can see the green bin in the picture there. Students just place the bin bag next to it. A fox comes along or a bird comes along and opens up the bag, and all of a sudden we've got, disgusting litter, tissues, and all sorts of horrible things over the floor that someone's got to clear up. Please, please, please lift up the bin lid and put the bin in. Put the bin bag in that bin. Okay, don't leave it next to the bin. Okay, it's really important. It is about showing consideration to the people that work at the university as well, the cleaning staff and the grounds staff. They don't want to have to deal with this. Okay, so we have a responsibility, not just to our flatmates, but also to the wider community too, that we're disposing of rubbish carefully. Food theft, okay, this is another thing that the wardens often get contacted about. Okay, students having food taken. Don't take food from the people that you live with. Okay, if you see food in the fridge and it's not yours, you need to ask before you take it. Okay, always ask before you take someone else's food. Okay, if you take it without asking, it's selfish, it's rude, it's thoughtless, it's theft. Okay, it is serious. Okay, if it goes on, we can start tracking when this goes on, trying to identify the person responsible. But really, don't let it get to that point, right? If there are money issues, we have a student money team. They have access to a hardship fund that they can disperse to students. And there are things that we can do to support students. You don't need to go hungry, but you certainly shouldn't be taking food from anyone. Okay, fire safety. Okay, so I'm aware I'm giving you quite a lot of information, but these things are really important, and you know, I think we're picking out the key issues that you need to be aware of. No smoking in any university building is permitted. Okay, you cannot smoke in residences. You can't smoke in stairwells or balconies or corridors. You must be away from buildings when you smoke as well, because the smoke can travel into windows and you know, upset the people living there. You're also not allowed any naked flames in your room, so no candles, no tea lights, no pipes, no incense burners. You're not allowed these in your rooms. Okay, this is about safety. Okay, so you will at some point, even if it's only during the annual fire drills, you will at some point have a evacuation where you will hear the fire alarm go off. It's very loud and it will go off continuously and make a continuous sound. At that point, you must leave the accommodation. Okay. You will hear the alarm tested once a week, where it's just tested for a short time, a few seconds. You don't need to worry about that. If it's continuous, you need to get out of the bedroom and out of the building. Okay. And it's really important. We have had fires on campus, and we have, you know, lots of safety procedures in place to ensure that you are safe in residences. But a key part of that is the fire alarm system, and that's why we will test it and we will conduct fire drills whilst you're living in residences too. So the other picture on your screen is of a sock covering a smoke detector. So this is a big no-no. It's illegal. It's very dangerous, and it could potentially lead to the spread of fire if the smoke detector does not go off when there is a fire. If you do this, you could be removed from residences. That's how seriously we take this. So tampering with fire safety equipment is a very serious offence. Okay. Often, if you mess around with one of the detectors, it will send a signal called a pre-alarm to the university security team. So it's likely that you would be caught. Just don't touch them. It's not worth it. Okay. Another couple of things to mention is that they are quite sensitive. So if you look up at the ceiling in your room, you'll see there'll be a fire detector, a smoke detector in your room. They can be activated by mist. So that means that if you open your shower door after a hot shower, you could set off your smoke detector. So close that door as soon as you've stepped out of the bathroom. Don't use an aerosol or deodorant or a hairspray or straighteners or a hairdryer. If you use them underneath the smoke detector, you can cause an evacuation. So be very careful. Try and do all of those things away from your smoke detector. Okay. And hopefully it goes without saying, but you can't use a kettle in your bedroom. That would set off the smoke detector too. You can't use any cooking equipment in your bedroom. That has to be used in the kitchen. The reason why you can use it in the kitchen is the detector in the kitchen is different. It's a heat detector. If there was a fire, it would sense the heat and it would cause the evacuation. If you burn the toast or you open the oven door and there's a lot of smoke, the kitchen heat detector will not activate the fire alarm. If you left the kitchen door open, the smoke from the burnt toast or the oven can set off the smoke detector in the corridor. So keep kitchen doors shut to avoid that happening. Okay. These are really important tips that will hopefully avoid some of the 3 a.m. fire alarms that occasionally happen on campus. Okay. So we want to avoid as many of them as possible. So please read this information, take it in, and just be super careful around that smoke detector. You don't want to be the person that causes that evacuation in the middle of the night. You won't be popular, let me tell you. Okay, other things just to mention is electrical safety. Some of you may have bought appliances from overseas. It's really important that any electrical goods have the CE mark. Okay, so do check that. and you can't be using devices that haven't got that CE mark on them. No portable heaters or washing machines. We have found washing machines in bedrooms, kettles, rice cookers. They're all a no-no. Okay, so not in the university accommodation rooms. I hope that this goes without saying. Unfortunately, we have this happen every year. Students use the Hoover to mop up water or vomit or spilled liquids. It's really dangerous. Okay, electricity and water are not a good mix. Please don't use it for that. You can report cleaning if it needs doing. You can also use some of the other equipment rather than a Hoover to clean up liquid. Okay. Well-being and welfare and illegal drugs. So just need to be very, very clear for the avoidance of any doubt. The university has a zero tolerance policy for illegal drug use. Okay, that includes cannabis, that includes NOS canisters, legal highs, new psychoactive substances. They are not permitted in university residences. You would likely face disciplinary action if you were caught. Okay, if you smoke cannabis in your room, it's likely that we'll find out, either because we will clearly smell it during a patrol, or another student would find the smell offensive and would report it. This happens a lot. Don't use cannabis in your bedroom. Do not use it on campus. It is not permitted. Okay, we will come down hard on illegal drug use. Okay, let me be very clear about that. As I say, you could be reported by another student as well. The ventilation systems in bathrooms are connected, so smoking cannabis in one room can be detected in another room. Okay, so it's not to be done. As we say, if you're caught using drugs, you can be removed from the university. You could possibly be expelled from the university as well. Okay. Okay, on a more cheerful subject, where to go for help and support and advice. All of you will have been assigned a personal tutor. So that's an academic member of staff that you can go to with any academic problem, issue or concern. They are very good at either signposting you to another academic colleague within the department, or hopefully helping you with whatever your issue is there. If it's a non-academic issue, the first place to go is My Surrey Hive. Okay, so my Surrey Hive is online, and it's also in the centre of campus. Hopefully you can't miss it. It's in the Philip Marchant building, and they are a one-stop shop really for supporting students. So pop along there with any non-academic advice that you need. Another way that we support students is with our peer supporters, who are current students. They've lived in university residences. They've been through some of they've studied at the university for a year or two already, so they sort of know where everything is, and they can help you if you've got particular questions that you might not feel you want to ask a member of staff about. You might want some advice about good places to go out in Guildford, for example. Peer supporters are great for that. They'll come and visit you every week for the first 6 weeks as you settle in, and they'll help you with that sort of settling in process. But they're also there online on social media. You can interact with them through social media and email as well. Okay, and just a few sort of final things to say. Some good advice from someone who's been doing this a long time to new students. Set up a flat WhatsApp group so you can communicate with each other. You can pass on important messages to each other. Introduce yourself to each other and get to know each other. Like I say earlier, really important. Speak to each other. Expect to be spoken to. And you never know, some of the people you meet in your accommodation may become friends for life. Okay, why don't you get together in the first week and have a meal together as well? Maybe you can all bring a dish, or someone can cook if you have any good cooks in your flat, and arrange. That's a nice thing to do as you settle into life at the university. And get involved in the wider university community as well. Come and find out about clubs and societies that are running. You can do that in the Freshers' Fair. That's a great way to find out about some of the other things that you can do while you're studying at the University of Surrey. So that just leaves me really to say thanks for listening. I know it's quite heavy, some of the messages we have to give, but they are important. And I'll leave this screen up again where you can take down some of those important web links and email addresses as well. So thanks for listening. And we hope to see you as a Warden team in the next few weeks as you move into your accommodation. And don't be afraid to reach out for help, advice, support. There are so many people at the University of Surrey who are here to support you, and we want to make sure that you have a good time while you're studying with us. So again, welcome to the University of Surrey, and thanks for listening, and I'll say bye there.